Yeah, we are live.
Oh, we're
Hi,
live.
everyone. Yeah,
Hello.
good
There's me
evening,
looking down.
guys.
Good evening, everyone. Really looking forward to tonight. So we're going to be having a discussion regarding readings. Like readings can be so general, but psychic readings, mediumship readings, and what they can do for you, how they can assist you in life, and are there any pros or cons in that experience? So we're going to open it up to the group as well, see what your views and opinions are, um, and yeah, there's quite a lot that I want to kind of share. And I know Sage was saying that she has some questions and she'll be bringing in her experience of what the journey through readings has been like for her. Um, and I really kind of want to be able to talk about the array of information, how it gets accessed, and what for. Why do we want them? Why do we have them? I feel like the issue of unknown comes up for me. Why if life is about being comfortable with not having the answers, about piecing things together and being in the unknown, then how do we incorporate that unraveling with finding out answers from a reading? It really is quite bizarre, because I think I look at it as the wisdom is coming with the information of a read is the knowledge, and the wisdom is the application of that information. How do we apply that information to our process and to our journey? And I feel like when we receive readings, we have to have the ability to perceptualize in a way that is authentic to us. And when we look at mental health, people's thought processes, I feel that's where I want to open up this to explore is what do we do when we have a blinkered way of perceptualizing information, when we see things are quite linear and quite factual? Can we get addicted to guidance that comes from another source? So these are all quite really interesting points of view. I know we spoke about television last week, and what came from that for me was knowing preferences as to individual relationships of people who are engaged in social media. And what I got from that really was it, again, being really, really individual to people's personalities, of how they cope, how they utilize it, and what triggers them. So yeah, I do feel like the same goes with readings, that is all really individual. I do have a habit of getting a lot of information. I am somebody that is a pattern thinker. So if ever I'm on when I have to public speak, I try to do it from a channel and not from my mind, because I have my own sort of dysfunctions when it comes to processing. When I say dysfunctions, I have my quirks, which means my words will get very mixed up if I'm trying to speak from here. But when I tap in, they come in very fluidly, very intellectually. They come with quite a lot of psychological advancement. So I've really learned to appreciate my guides and the journey they have taken me on. So I tend to kind of zone in when I tap into this information, and I know that is probably what will happen tonight. But I do want to have airspace between channeling in what they're saying, light codes, and involving you guys, and obviously hearing Sage's experience and to ask questions. So before I do any of that, because I feel like that's how it's going to come tonight, I will send the space over to Sage. There was one experience that I want to share briefly before, was on Saturday night. I was given my usual psychic mediumship readings, and the screen flipped over by accident. So you could see my living room, and my guidance system. I had these. They were having a real laugh with me because what I was being shown was my laundry hung up on the radiator, and I had a little chuckle, a little laugh before I linked in to the loved ones in spirit, because there's a difference between the different channels of who you can contact. And my guides were saying to me, you are airing out your dirty laundry. There's a saying, don't air your dirty laundry in public. And sometimes it's a little bit like the readings, because you think, oh, what information am I going to pick up, and what is important for that person to hear? And what they were showing me was, your laundry is clean, so it's okay. So as a metaphor, what they were telling me before I started the show was, everything with great is love. I always say I set an intention with the highest of grace, ease, and love, meaning that the message I want to convey comes with purity and with a ego-free intention. And so they just played around with a little metaphor like that with me to say, yeah, your laundry is clean, it's not dirty, so therefore it's okay to be in public. So I'm just sort of demonstrating with you how intrinsically the messages can really be, and it's almost like this puzzle that you learn to piece together and really have fun with. And that's how I see it as well. As much as I feel like my type of readings are about unveiling, to lift veils and to be able to direct you into truth, it can also be fun. Because let's face it, if you are going into your truth, not everybody wants to know their truth. Some people prefer to go around the world blindly. And so you do have these type of, maybe, I don't know if I want to say old school readings, but that's how it comes. And I sometimes filter and sometimes I don't. But you'll have the whole thing we're doing these readings for entertainment purposes. And the reason we say entertainment purposes is we want to maybe cover our backs. Obviously, if things come out, you don't want to talk about anything medical and have any kind of repercussions on perhaps things with a marriage breakup, a divorce or something. You don't want that reader coming back and telling you. But ultimately, with great power comes great responsibility, and we all have inner power, every single one of us, and it's how we use that inner power. And so yeah, that's how readings can be so individual, especially when you're dealing with humans who are conveying the messages over. So I don't want to talk too much. I'm always aware of sharing space, so I always check out, and that's very much how I work with a one-to-one. Even when I give readings, I always like to check out what you're feeling and how are you now, because I always like to gain permission with every bit of information, because the way I work very much is with the unveiling, and I think that's just because that's the person and the process I've been through in my life to understand my past wounds. And so exactly the same tonight. I'm going to check in with Sage. We're going to look at some comments, and then we'll work it like that. So yeah, is there anything that's come up for you whilst I'm talking, Sage? Because I know Sage, obviously, she does. I said to Sage, oh, you do trance, and Sage was like, is that what I do? And I said, yes, you do trance, and goes into the vortex. She's obviously got experience with the beings, and but we all call these different things. We might not necessarily, Sage may not necessarily consider it as she is offering readings when she talks through her being's essence. So yeah, what's come up for you, Sage, so far?
First of all, I just want to say hi, guys. Hello to Leanne, Alice, Tracy, Vanessa. Thank you for joining us this evening. And throughout the evening, if you want to put your comments down, or if you want to ask any questions to Angelina with regards to readings, clairvoyantry, or mediumship, then please do, yeah, within the hour. For me, I've been waiting for a show like this to be able to break down clairvoyant readings, mediumship, what it means to us as an individual, and what it means to people on a whole. Everyone's going to have their own opinion on how they see readings, or if they've had readings before, or if they do have readings, or if they've never had readings. And for myself, I wanted to share my journey with readings. And when I was younger, I had a reading for the first time when I was about in secondary school. So I must have been about maybe 13, 14. And my friend said to me, "Oh, there's a reader around the corner from school, and she does readings. And this lady read cards, like proper cards, and she would read them." And I'm talking about years ago, because I'm sure she charged like £2, for a reading. And so I went with my friends after school, and we went to this lady, and she was reading normal cards, and she was giving us a reading. And I just connected with it straight away. I can't remember what she said. All I know is that I thought, wow, just imagine there's someone that, because she had cards, like normal playing cards as well, it just intrigued me. And I remember going home, I got my brother to go. I think I got my oldest sister to go. I told my mum about it, and I said, "Oh, there's this woman, and she does readings, and she reads cards." And I got them to actually go to the lady as well. And that was my first encounter of someone reading your future, because that's how I saw it. Someone reading your future. And I just was intrigued, and I loved it. And I was like, wow. And I started, with that, subconsciously, I started searching. So they would just come to me throughout my years. I would just meet psychic people, or there would be these people that would knock on the door, when I was living at home, and they would say, "Would you like a reading?" And and I'd be quick to say, "Oh, well, I want to try and have one." And I was getting into my teens then. And then it got to a stage of, I think for me, when my life weren't going right, I would go to them. So I was seeking, constantly seeking. And then in my 20s, it got to a stage where I was just going to so much psychic readers, ones that didn't say anything much. I'll go to another one. And then back then there was like telephone readers that you had to pay. And I got to a stage where my bill went so high, I couldn't afford to pay the bill, because I'd be just going and having readings and getting readings. And, some might say things that was quite correct, but it wasn't enough. So I'd go again, and I'll go again, and I'll go again. And in between all of this, I had psychic abilities, but it wasn't showing itself as much. So I would have certain dreams, and then the dreams will come true. But it wasn't enough. My abilities didn't start until really my near-death experience. That was at 25. And then after 25, that's when my healing hands started to show itself. My dreams would become more severe, that I would have dreams and I would just tell someone something and it would be true. And then when I started Reiki healing now, I would do Reiki healing, and then I might see bits of their future. And I would say to them, "Oh, is it okay to share something?" Or I might see their present, what's going on in their present life. And while I'm doing the healing, I would say, "Oh, this has come up. Is it okay to share?" And they would say yes. And I would share certain things and stuff like that. And that's how my psychic ability started to show itself. And by that was starting to grow within me, I was starting to realize that me going out of myself and just going to all these psychic readers because I wasn't happy with life, and I just wanted to know what was happening with me, for some form of security or some form of understanding of where my life was going. It made me realize that, oh, you can tap into yourself if you really want to, and I started tapping into myself, and I started going into myself. I would see certain things about my life, and then it will come true. And then I'd think, oh, okay, so I can even manifest things and they're coming true. And I started to build on that, build on that, build on it. And then it got to a stage where the universe or the spirit within me would say, have faith in yourself. And that was my journey. And I started to have faith in myself and not go to psychic readers anymore. Now, even though I say that, and even now I don't go to psychic readers. However, if someone stops me or comes to me and says, oh, I've got a message, or, I'm picking up on something, do you mind? I would say, oh, yeah, please. Like, what do you see? Because to me, that was meant to be. If I'm just going to someone, then there's something about me where I'm saying, for one, I'm probably impatient about something and I just want to see what's going on. And I'm not allowing the process to take its place. This is me personally, or it's something that I'm not happy about. But if someone wants to embrace and tell me something out of the blue, or stop me in the street, or I'm always welcome to say, okay, what do you see? And most of the time, if they are correct, it's just confirmation, because I'll be like, okay, yeah, I know this. You're right. Thank you so much. And stuff like that. There was one time when I was doing Reiki healing. I was starting to call it energy healing by then, because I was using my own energy. And this lady, she was a psychic and I didn't know, but I was giving her some healing. And then she said, oh, I'm a psychic, and while you're doing your energies on me, I'm picking up so much. Do you mind if I give you a reading, like while you're doing I finished the healing part, and then she gave me a reading. And she was the one that gave me confirmation about Andrew. She told me he had a daughter. He does what he does. He's very recluse. He has his own space. He's very much alone, stuff like that. And she told me so much. And I thought, wow, because what she didn't know, I've already done my law of attraction letter with 4 pages of writing, this guy, what I wanted for myself. And what she was saying was identical to what I wrote. And I just thought, wow, look at that. And again, that was confirmation, and by me identifying that, wow, there's a link there. There's a spiritual link there of me writing all this down. And this lady, probably a year and a half later, or whenever it was, she's come for a healing, and then picking up what I wrote down. Now that I find fascinating. That is like magic. I'm like, yes, I believe in that. Yeah, I believe in psychic abilities. I believe we have it within us, and I believe people have it as well. Some people don't want to tap into it because they've got other things to experience in this lifetime, and it might not be for them. And for me, I have certain abilities that I can do with regards to seeing things, but it's once in a while, and it's not with everyone. So I know I couldn't do what Angelina's doing. I couldn't get people coming, and I'd be lost. Like, I'm picking up some, but I wouldn't be picking up everyone, because that's not for me to do. And I understand that, but I also understand I have it within me. And when it comes out, I do share it with people if they don't mind, but it's really not all the time. It's literally once in a while. And it's an energy thing that I get with someone. I have to feel that energy, and then I get it, but it's not all the time. So that's my relationship with readings. It served me well. Yes, it really has served me well from when I was younger. Obviously, I was one of those people that was searching from a young age, because to identify having a reading at such a young age, and then I'm sharing it around my family, and I'm getting them to go, that I had a calling for that. Some way, somehow, I had a calling for that. So it served me well. But for me, now I like to try and see the world blindly because I like surprises now. Only because I know so much and I pick up a lot within myself. I like surprises. So I wouldn't really go and just have a reading just like that. But if someone comes to me, I'll be open to it. And adding that to mediumship now, because I'm always connected to spirit world and I'd speak to spirits and stuff like that. That one I'm more open to. And that one I would more, if I feel like I can hear someone, but I can't hear them properly for what some reason, I feel like they're giving me a message, then it hasn't happened yet. But that's something I'll go to Angelina for and say, Angelina, can we do a reading on this? Because I'm picking up on the spirit. I can feel it around me, but I can't hear them. So can you know, and we do a session. So I'll do things like that because I know I'm not tuned in enough to be able to clearly hear them. And I believe it's because I don't practice it enough because I do other things. You know, my other spiritual world means more to me than that aspect. So I'd rather go to someone that's they can get it straight away. To me, that makes sense. Go to someone like Angelina that does it every day, does it all the time. That's what she does, and let's get the message. Than me trying to get the message out. Yeah. So that's my story with psychic readings, and I just wanted to share that with you because some of you guys, you come on the Saturday as well, and you might see me on the Saturday and think, oh, why is Sage having a reading? And I'm like, no, it's okay, you know, I'm not tonight, I don't need a reading. And it's because of that reason. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. I don't Doesn't mean it doesn't have its own merit, because it does. I just choose to just be a bit more blinded with my life now and have surprises. That's the reason. So that's me. Well, we've got a
Amazing.
question here. Do you want to answer this, Angelina? Vanessa's asked, what's the difference? Let me put it up so you can see.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a medium and psychic medium? Ah, over to you,
Yeah, we like.
Angelina.
Yeah. And they can easily combine. And you know, I think that the more apparent thing within it is that psychicism would allude that you can see into the future. And the mediumship in itself is contacting a loved one in spirit who's passed over, who was once here on earth. And so and the two can blend. And sometimes they are separate. Often you could quite often have just a pure mediumship, and then you could go to someone and maybe the psychic will also mix it with some tarot cards, and they would focus on what's ahead. And I feel like they're equally as popular, if you want to use that word. But you know, I think it's almost like when you go to a restaurant and you're ordering a meal. Do I order a Chinese or an Indian or Italian? It's also like the elements. It's what does your personality require in this moment in time? And some people would want to connect with a loved one who has passed over for their healing, for reassurance, for connection, for comfort. And there's a load more variables as to why someone may want to have connection with someone that they know who's passed over. And equally for psychicism, being able to know what's ahead of them. They might be confused and have life dilemma, completely lost, and at that point of needing direction. So, and the two can blend. They can blend. So we see that readings can be so intrinsically individual, and also dependent on the channel, but dependent on an individual who is looking for connection. So yeah, I hope that helps, Vanessa, in what you're saying. And it does get, you know, the words are words, and sometimes get a bit confusing, because there's different extents to a psychicism reading, and some can be very detailed, and and others would want to, because you have clairvoyancy, you see, and that's where it gets a bit muddled. You've got clairvoyancy, which I feel like that's in the middle, and that's very much looking at your your life, what's around you, your traits, very much about your present moment, and that's equally good. So we've got past, present, and future. I always love to talk about past, present, and future. So yeah, that's the answer to that one, Vanessa.
That's a really good. Yeah, that's a really good question. I liked that because while you was talking, the being said something, and it was really interesting. I had to write it down because I didn't want to stop you from talking, and I didn't want to forget because it's very interesting of what they just said. So I asked them while you was talking, oh, so mediumship, when Angelina's speaking or whoever is speaking to spirits, how does it work? What's the process? I know people say, yeah, I hear them, and they're saying, but what is that? What is that hearing? What is the process? And they said, I had to write it down, the energy stays around this human earth. The energy stays around, the soul continues. So it's the energy of that person. So the flesh body does its thing. We know how that goes. But then you have energy, and then you have soul. So they're saying it's separated. It's the soul that goes off to do their own thing. So it's all one still. There's no separation, but the soul within that goes off, and the energy stays within us. It's just that we don't see it. But some humans can have access to that because they're open to that. So that's why they can hear, that's why they can see, and that's why they can pick up on answers and messages and stuff like that, because even though we feel like they've transitioned on, their energy remains the same. And that's what will happen to us when we continue on as well. Our energy always remains the same. It's just there. And humans have access, if they're open enough, to have access to that energy. They also said it's like clones. So it's like clones, you know, and it's that ability that some humans have that can have access to seeing, to feeling, to hearing, and using all the other senses as well. But to tell you the truth, I haven't known anyone explain it in that way, to be honest. That's why I had to write it down. So there's the 3 steps of your body, your energy, and your soul. And even though the oneness is still there, it does its own thing at the same time. You know, so it's the people that pass away, energies remains the same. That doesn't go. So there's access still there. And this is where information will always be, you know, and growth will always be. And sometimes we get answers for the future, for our past, for way down thousands of years, where we can get answers for because they're here. So I thought that was really interesting. Really interesting.
And as you spoke, I was absolutely, I really like that. And I was picturing, what came to me was that our soul is in this life, and this life is one big party. I heard this from a friend of mine, Anne, who's also a psychic medium. She does regression work as well, and I saw her post life as one big party. And what came to me was the music and frequency, and that's what I was being shown, that we have different sounds and different music within our party, within the elements, and they have different tunes, different frequencies. And so that is how we get to kind of almost go and dance in between the variables. So I really like the way that the beings came in to explain that.
Yeah,
really,
that was really interesting. We've got another question, so let's go. Amanda says, hello ladies, I'm on late, but I'm still glad to still have got to come on. No, she said, and I'm still glad to still have got on. So that's nice. So we've got a question here. I'm going to put it up, and she's put, what about if you're fearful to explore a sixth sense, but wish to? This is Tracy.
is so massive, this subject. Am I okay to go and then see what you get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, you know, this is the question for me. I absolutely love because fear is an amazing subject. We often talk about fear, Sage. I mean, look what I've got here, fear. This book, fear. Um, and with a lot of my clients, because predominantly I come from a traditional counselling background, humanistic, and then that's how my channels grew and grew, because fear is a human experience, as we know. And I always say the reason why I came to work with my channels is I understood that I often say mental dis-ease gets confused with spiritual deprivation. We can a lot of the time confuse mental health with that. And with spiritual deprivation, what happens is we disconnect from our connection to source, essentially to higher self and to the facets that come with higher self, i.e. possibly mediumship and psychicism. But the block comes in with our past experiences. So that is how I've always combined the counselling with an energy channel such as clairvoyancy, then psychicism, mediumship came, and I use a bit of psychicism in it. Because often when you unlock trauma from your unconscious beliefs, you can more readily access your spiritual plane. Because I honestly, I always talk about religion, culture, and tradition being three separate things, but there's a lot to say with faith system, our experience of connecting to the unknown, because there's all sorts of rigidity and dogma attached to our psyches, and it's so individual to every person as to why they are scared of being in the expansionness of the unknown. Because essentially when you are connecting with other realms, it is an unknown. It's an you're plugging into identities that are uncertain. So I feel that might answer your question. So if you and I just want to make sure I've got that. What about if you're fearful to explore six? Yeah. So I always say, for me personally, a large proportion of being a channel is to know yourself, is to get to the self-awareness part, understand and heal all the constraints, and you will naturally from that start to channel. And that's why I say a lot of people come to me and say, I want to spiritually develop, and I say, well, let's look at your unconscious mind, and a lot of it then becomes healing work. So yeah, I think that might do the trick for you, Tracy.
Yeah, I like that question. I've got a question for you as well. And we've spoke about this when we've had our talks with regards to, I know on my journey, I've had so many readings, I can't even, think to even count how many throughout my life. But I noticed that a lot of them would say similar things like, oh, I can read others, but I'm not good with reading myself, or I'm not good with, connecting to my psychic abilities for my journey and for my life. Can you explain why that happens? Does it come down to that question of fear, or is it just a sixth sense that's just for other people for you guys to read other people and not more yourself? Can you explain a bit more on that?
And it's kind of like how come some therapists then go and seek their therapy, and it's like we can tune into, as you've known, Sage, as well, that we can have our spirit moments and the whispers and the, oh look, go left, go right, and here's a little presence here, and you can feel spirit, and that happens to to anyone who has developed. But I think the difference to maybe why they don't apply the same information or have the clarity of vision that they would if it was given over from another is that they're in it. And I always talk about being in an experience that you can't have emotion tied into a reading, and you can't have your linear mind tied into a reading because you become attached. So if I'm same with the client account, like so any kind of therapy, but that's why we don't work with people that we're very, very close to, because our emotions are inclined to be involved. And when your emotions become involved in a reading, the clarity becomes distorted because you are then tailoring it somewhat. You'll be that blind. There's something about being completely motionless in thought to convey a message. And I think the beauty of being able to give readings is you learn how to come away from yourself, to be, like I said at the beginning, to come with it with an egoic purity. And ego is so natural in a human. So if we are reading ourselves, we're in that experience, therefore ego is involved. So that's kind of how it is. Maybe like if you look at working out, you can work out by yourself, but sometimes you need a trainer to watch you, to see your technique, to spot the postures that you may not necessarily see because you're actually just in the midst of doing that workout. Does that make sense? I once remember I did because I like bringing in the fitness thing, but I once was doing some squats, and I had a trainer just came and said, oh, you know, you're leaning very much on the side of your feet, you know, they're unbalanced, don't you? I can see your toe. Yeah. And I said, how the hell did you know that? But he could spot it through observation from the angle that he was in. So that's just what I wanted to add there as an example.
Yeah, no, I like that. I remember in the past when I would have certain readings and my sixth sense could tell if that reader had problems going on in that day, or she's reading from her ego because there's things going on, and I would pick that up, you know, and I wouldn't say anything, but I would just say, okay, it's just a feeling that I could get from that person, you know. So that's similar where, you know, reading yourself, or reading when, as you said, when there are emotions there, or you've got problems going on and you don't know how to, that word detach, you know, because you're gonna have to, I'm assuming, I don't read like how you do, but there's a technique where you're gonna have to detach, because if you're coming with your what happened today, or you had an argument in the morning, or you're feeling a certain way, then you need to go and channel, you know, that the messages for others. You need to be able to know how to detach from that. And I used to pick that up a lot, where I could feel, okay, they're going through things right now, they're really talking from their ego, and there's stuff going on with them, and I would pick that up at the same time, you know. So yeah, that's really, really, really interesting. We've got another question, which is a good one. These questions are really good tonight. This is from Vanessa, and she says, this may be a strange question, but how do you know you are actually psychic? Are there physical signs? I like that.
Yeah. Who wants to go first? Should I
Go
go
first.
and then you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you have, there's all sorts of ascension symptoms, and you only have to go onto these spiritual sites and you'll see a load come there ringing in the ears, and I'm feeling nauseous, and there's all sorts of headaches, you know, the list goes on. And I think that's also quite intrinsic when you look at a human being when they're going through maybe angst, They have a dis-ease in them, to check out where is that pain point coming from, what is that ailment coming from, is it, what source is it deriving from. It can get quite, like I said, intricate. But maybe more the obvious things about how you would know if you were psychic. I mean, you'd know, and I love dreams, because Sage has an amazing experiences in her dreams. And we all know you can wake up and then maybe the dreams you dreamt would have come true. But do you know what I also would say with you, Vanessa? And because I really feel your soul, and I know that you've got this gift, I can feel it emerging, is to practice, because there's some psychicism that's really obvious, and there are the subtleties of psychicism. And I just say the subtleties are just as powerful. I don't really believe in having to have all these big, massive hat tricks. You could just say one tiny little thing that's not that massively significant, but to that person, it means the world. And it could just be a color or a shape, and they'll go, I know why you said that. So a lot of it can verge into transfer, what I call like human connection, the way you have your empathy. And we can have this advanced empathy, like a relational depth, where you start to almost say what the other person is feeling, seeing, hearing, and that then can merge into a form of psychicism. So just being extremely empathic, being very empty of yourself and connecting with them with real key listening, not hearing, but listening, which is an art. You learn to listen, and I honestly believe you will see so many tones of psychicism when you actively connect and listen to somebody. You'll just start, even when they're not talking, you'll be able to know what they are not saying, what they're feeling but not expressing, and it will just grow. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to add there.
That's amazing. What I will add to that is, and Angelina can have confirmation with this, is that at times those signs are there from young. So they're there within from young, and it's about feeding it and getting it out and making it grow and making it grow. And most of the time it's there from born. So when you're getting, getting older, you're seeing stuff, you're feeling stuff, you're connecting with things. I know for me personally, there was little things that would make me think, how did I know that? And I was just like under 10. I'm talking about 5 years old. And I would think of something and it would show itself. And I'll be like, how did I know that? Why did it come to my mind before? I didn't know what it meant. There was no words for it because I'm young. But I knew that I was starting to see things and hear things, or my thought will come with a picture in my mind, and then I would see it in the present time, and I'll be like, wow, how did that happen? And it could be really simple things like, before a car goes by, I know that car's going to go by, and I know it's going to be blue, and I know it's going to be a Cortina, and then it goes past, and I'll be like, oh, how did I know that was, so there's little signs from when you're young that shows itself. And what Angelina said about the practice, if that's your calling, and that's, wow, this is something that I'm feeling, and it's my calling, the more you become it, the more you go within, the more you trust as well. And trust comes from when you do share something out and someone's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Yeah, I do it to Angelina, and I'm not a psychic. And I might say to Angelina, oh, I was just watching telly, I was just doing something, and this has just come to me. And Andrew would be like, yeah, that's true. And I'll be like, okay, and I will leave it. Where somebody else, if they're growing their psychicness, they can grow that. I just take it and, see it for what it is, and then I go on to what I'm doing. So practice is really key, and having belief in yourself and trusting that inner self. And you're only going to trust it when you say it out, or you bring it out, and then you get confirmations, and it's the confirmations that grow you to the next stage. So yeah, that was a good answer. Tracy here said, thank you for showing. Let me take this off. Thank you for the answer. I'm not sure, someone wanted me to hear the full answer, as if you, oh, I think she's trying to say, can you watch it back? Because someone wanted to hear that answer from, the one you gave to Tracy. But they had technical issues. Yeah, they had technical issues. So yes, the answer is, when we come off of here tonight, it is recorded, and you can go back and look at it. So that's fine. We've got Maya that says hello. And Vanessa says that true signs are always there. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I had another question, write it down. It's definitely gone. Yeah, it's just left me. Yeah.
It'll come back. Yeah. And it's the same like with deja vu. And I often experience that when I with clients, and I ask them to access themselves. And I'll ask things like, well, how did that feel to you? And I'm just, as you're saying this, I'm picturing an event, and I'm wondering what that feeling is making. Can you make sense of what I'm feeling, or what I'm sensing, or how does that feel to you? And often that person's like, oh my God, yeah, that really resonates, and it allows them to find the answer from within, as to what I've picked up, to allow them to connect with what they will pick up. And there's nothing like being able to gather your own answers, because it's so empowering to be able to start to do those equations for self. It is like your sarcasm in training, but with the memory thing, where say said, oh, I had something and it just went, and I said, don't be, when we get key information, sometimes it can be so profound, the psyche kicks out a little bit. It's like the body ricochets, and because it's like, oh, that's and the brain gets confused. And this is what I'm saying when we multitask. But I just that's what made me think of it when you said it. I bet you remember now.
Yeah. I don't remember yet, but what just sparked something up when you said about deja vu. And a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people that have epilepsy, they have deja vus. They have things just before they have a seizure. They will see things that might come true. They might say things that might come true, and then their seizures would come after that. They might get a bellyache. They might get a headache. They might get certain things, and then a seizure would come. And I know for myself and my son, when I would go to the consultancy and the doctors and stuff, and they would say, okay, what signs does he get? And every time I would say, okay, he gets the deja vus. And they would say, they never go spiritual with it. They always keep it science, so they know, they don't say, oh, that's not meant to happen. They're like, yes, that can happen, but that's just it's an illusion. It's just their brain showing them things that really ain't there, and that's all it is. And then they just put it under the carpet, and then they go on. Like, they never break it down. They never want to see. And obviously we know that, come on, there's more to that, but they recognize it. They know that happens. They know it's part of the brain, that access that part of the brain, but they don't want to go further. They just keep it there. So it's part of the list of what can happen if you're epileptic, but they don't go further. And I think, wow, that's just really quite interesting, that part they don't want to go more into. So they're aware of it, but they don't want to, they don't really want to break that part down. They just leave it. Yeah.
They keep it quite linear, and it's a bit where I said in some readings they would say, oh, this is for entertainment purposes only. It's like, we're going to give you some evidence just to show that we've got you here, but it's purely for entertainment. We're not going to go down that road. And so that we're going at the beginning about the complications of a read is, I say the complications of a read is that you're really also dealing with going into the psyche. So you are looking at personality and what has that person has held, and it's also about keeping yourself safe, isn't it? Because we don't want to it's the word where we interpret it from a human mind, which is why I always say there comes a point where if I'm talking and I'm getting confused, which often happens with me, I have to stop, take a breath, and then look for the information outside of myself. And then I know it's pure. And then I go back in. And then I get back on point. So maybe with these doctors, they don't want to get contaminated. They just know knowledge. That's all they know. Knowledge, not wisdom. Keep the wisdom somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I want to add to this show with regards to psychicness is being able to get messages from animals. I get messages from animals definitely more than humans. You know, I speak to animals constantly. I hear them, I hear the vibrations, and they speak to me, but they don't give me messages. They don't say, you know, this is going to happen or anything. Like, we just talk, like we just have conversations and we talk. And that's another part of a psychic energy, that a lot of people can speak to animals. We hear this all the time, you know, speak to animals, connect with the frequency of animals. I never used to be an animal person. So it's only been the last 7 years that I've been connected with animals. And really, it was the beings that got me to say, okay, to really connect with the oneness, you need to be able to connect with your fears and conquer your fears. And animals, especially dogs, you won't get me to definitely not even look after a dog if someone's gone away, much less have a dog in my house, much less that just wouldn't have happened. And we've got 2 cats, we've got dog, we've got fishes, and all of them speak and all of them have a vibration, and I pick up with the vibration. Now, by me being able to speak to animals, it allowed me to be able to speak to non-verbals, because once I understood that, okay, it's vibration, and I was able to tap into the vibration of them, then I could hear. And that ain't no different really with any psychic. That's what the beings are just telling me. But I just don't choose to tap into the human side in that way. You know, I just like, when it comes, I share, and then it goes again. But with animals now, I was intrigued by that. And so I do it more. And yes, I did practice, and I have them in my home. So I was able to investigate and explore and understand what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling. And, you know, when they're speaking, what does that really mean? Is it really them speaking? How do I know? You know, they might walk up to their bowl when they've asked something to make me say, okay, that is them speaking. And I wanted to share that, just the different aspects of psychicness that can take place and that can grow as well if you want that to grow, you know. And that's probably where I went more down that route than accessing humans, you know, to give them that message to humans in that way. So and I enjoy that, and I don't do it for anything. It just is here, and it's growing all the time, and we see where that unfolds. But it makes you realize that animals, insects, creatures and stuff, they really are, they, you know, they do have a soul in there. You know, they are have a spiritual energy like us. They are here for a reason as well. And they're just as important as we are as humans. And for us to remember that as well. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
You reminded me a bit of the breath, and because obviously intuition's just linked in. We have intuition in there as well in the mix, and a lot of it tuning in is in the breath. And I know you said that to me once, Sage, about that when I'm on the live, it's going to all be about taking that breath, because I'm not used to giving readings. Well, I am. I've done them for some time, but it's not. I wouldn't consider it my forte. It's something that I just continue to do because I feel I have a calling. But I love the one-to-ones. Absolutely love to really get in depthy with one-to-one, because you have that sort of almost privacy as well. So I like to really help someone release and to move. And sometimes movement causes friction. It's the universal law. And
Yeah.
to express friction online, I'm a very private person. But a private person with a polarity, because we all have opposites. So we're never one, we always have the counterpart. So funny, because I taught fitness for a while, and that was me being out there and being seen. There is a part that likes to keep myself private. And so that's where, giving readings online, I'm filtering out a lot of stuff back here, because I come from quite an analytical background where I like to know where things have come from and why. So there is a lot about connection. Breath is connection, intuition, psychicism. A lot can be said about feeling it in your breath. Taking that pause and breathing into your belly allows you to connect to an answer or a thing, one word, one vision, and that vision leads to another. But like a dance, breathe through the message. So that just made me think of what Sage said about connecting with animals, because it's really just breathing with them.
Yeah.
I feel, anyway.
Yeah, definitely without a doubt. Because the hour's nearly up already, the whole reason why we done this show, I wanted to do it from time, but it needed to be the right time to do a show like this. Angelina's going to be doing classes, so she's just going to explain a bit with regards to the psychic classes that she's going to be putting on very soon, that you guys can come on board. And if you really want to develop your psychicness within, get more information, get more support and advice around that, and mediumship as well. But I'm going to let her share some more about the classes and the courses, and we'll take it from there. So do you want to share?
Yeah, they're going to be in 3 modules. It really is a test drive. So I had that vision some time ago. In fact, I'm just amending the piece because a couple of people have inquired, and it was my intention to send it yesterday. But I need to, the spirit want me to give a few more amendments, so that's what I'm doing. It's very much about self-discovery and self-awareness, because I have to remain pure in teachings. It's being able to come at connecting with guidance system. And I think mediumship will just naturally come in. It may be part of the module for that individual who participates, but it may not. You may gather information that is out, from away from a loved one in spirit, but perhaps from a clairvoyant level. Intuition may kick in. And so really is a chance to, I feel it probably be a small group for now. I have no idea. I did put spring, so I want to keep it quite soon, so I don't it doesn't get further away. I know when I want to be, when I work through, I need to work, and so that's what I'm doing. And it is very much about keeping it a very safe space where we feel comfortable enough to bring our sense of self, and we offer each other's connections within the group so that we can retrieve guidance from, it's almost like a support group, but being able to have some techniques and strategy on linking in. And I'll obviously oversee what I feel I'm picking up and sensing to help you. So we'll start off with going into the light and a meditation and a prayer, and perfect containment and closing after. So I hope to have this as an invigorating, restorative healing group where you can learn to access your sense of self. And a sage night is a perfect reading for me, is to come away and said, I already know that. Or if you didn't already know it, is to say the dreams that I may have been thinking they could possibly come true. I've had loads of those where I've had information shown to me that I didn't necessarily identify, but deep down they were there somewhere in the subliminal. So that's kind of the aim for the free modules, free what we call them, workshops, groups, where I just love holding space. I always say hold space. I'm good at containment and making sure everybody has some focus and they come out having an experience. So I hope that you will engage in having a key quality experience when you come onto the course. I won't say too much, but I can obviously send you the email or however you want to be contacted with the I wouldn't say the inventory, but with the finer details of the layout.
So yeah, definitely, guys. I've got Mia saying I'm very interested. Vanessa saying yay. So guys, inbox Angelina Ray or put a message out on our page, and put your name down from now. I do believe it's going to be getting packed. There's going to be people that's going to want a course like this. So get your names in from now, so you know your name's down, and Angelina will definitely give you some more information, how it works, how the sessions are going to be, how many hours it's going to be per session, and stuff like that. So we've got Amanda saying sounds great. Vanessa saying definitely interested, please. So again, share it. You might have friends that want to come on as well, but it's going to be a great course, class, whatever you want to call it. Really, it's just a way for you to be able to have access to that inner psychicness within, and all those messages where you think, is it true? I'm not sure, I'm not confident, I don't really know, but then you still have that calling. Then you're going to know this is for you, this course is going to be for you. So it's going to be really exciting. So that's going to come out really soon. It won't be long before, Angelina. Look at me talking for you. It won't be long before. I know, because I'm just picking it up. I can feel it. Like I literally can feel the course while I'm talking. I can feel it. And it's going to be amazing. Tracy said that sounds exciting. So again, guys, put your name down from now, and Angelina will give you more information when you inbox her. Yeah. So it's after 9 already. Thank you guys for taking part tonight, and your questions was fantastic. Yeah. And as usual, I always say Saturday, Angelina Ray doing her mediumship and spiritual session, and on Monday I'll do the Tibetan 5 rites and meditation. I know it's early, 7 a.m., but yeah, come on board if you can. And oh, there's a question, Angelina. I think we should answer it. Would the sessions be via Teams or Zoom?
I'm thinking it will be Zoom. I'm sure I've got somebody helping me with that. I'm not techie, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be Zoom, if that's okay.
Okay, wonderful. All right, guys, sending you love and peace. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week or Saturday. Until then, have a lovely rest of the week. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.